folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Busy day. We've been working in our fire station that we're taking over. We're running. Now, I'm not going to go into details because I know some of you are sick and tired of it. It's a two weird mix kind of thing. We have the local fire district, all volunteer. They had a fire station in a whole huge area of the district that wasn't really being serviced much, not a lot, because everyone was on the other side of the district. And so we formed an emergency response team, have a lot of medical background. We have licensed, certified people. We do a lot of very serious, not just certified training, but hardcore in the field training, search and rescue, disaster response. We approached the fire department. They basically took us all on as an auxiliary, so we're official, and said we have a fire station. You guys can run out of that, be kind of like the rescue squad for the fire station, but you got to do it all on your own, and there's not really a lot of money for it. I mean, a little bit, but there's, we're trying to do it all on our own, all funding-wise. In there today, doing a lot of work. I'll try to throw a picture up so that you can see. I mean, without the perspective of knowing what we're doing and what it was like beforehand, it may not mean much. We also had another team, part of our team, doing some advanced first aid training today, so that was going on also, so I was bouncing back between both of it. Very busy. If you're still interested in helping us out, or you know someone that's, they like helping organizations and local volunteer fire departments that have, that are poor and stuff, share a link with them. It'll be down in the description below or in the comments section, if you wouldn't mind. What really is prepping? I mean, that's a term that's a fairly modern term. The term wasn't really used up until maybe 30, maybe 40 years ago, maybe. But 20, 30 years ago was really when we started hearing people talk about it. But what is it? You ever think about it? Is it just stocking up on food? I mean, is it developing some kind of skill that you're probably never going to use in life unless everything falls apart? I don't know. Is it that mental awareness, the strength to when things get bad and you fall apart and the world falls apart but you don't? Because honestly, I can give you lots of examples throughout history, documented cases where people that weren't actually physically prepared for things, and they went through hard times and they made it, or people that thought they were mentally prepared and they perished because they couldn't mentally handle it and stuff. So I don't know, what is it? Is it just a fad? You ever ask yourself these weird questions? Is it just are we really the crazy ones? I mean, it doesn't mean that things aren't bad and falling apart, but are we really crazy by behaving this way? Because modern preparedness, while it tries to say that we're like the old preppers of the how people used to live, it is kind of different. I really try to model what we do at our home and our community, of what we know of people and communities doing back in the past old times. It was normal to have food supply because you didn't have a little Piggly Wiggly, or we don't have those around here either, but you didn't have a grocery store to go to whenever you wanted, so you had to produce your own food and you had to store it away, preserve it. You had to take care of yourself, provide your own medical care for the most part, defend yourself from bad things, bad animals, bad people, and then you had to work with others around you. Like, very, very few people in history, especially in early American pioneer history, very, very few people did it all completely on their own all the time. In fact, the few people that did, books were written about them because it was very unusual, like Jeremiah Johnson and folks like that went off into the wilderness for a period of time all by themselves, and they survived. That's how rare it was. Like, books were written about those people because no one did that. Agree or disagree, we're designed, we're created to be a communal people, not commune hippie stuff. but that we're meant to be around each other. And when you go back and you look at how early American society, and just really human society since we were created pretty much up until the modern era, was little small little communities, right? There wasn't, I mean, there were a few big cities and stuff, but most people lived in small little villages, little tribal type villages. And they pretty much took care of themselves. And in fact, if you go back in history and look at the bad times like plagues and wars and stuff, typically those little rural small villages did pretty well for themselves. And the people that lived behind the big castles and the big, cities where the lords and stuff lived, they didn't do as well. And honestly, I've tried to pattern my focus personally to that. Not necessarily saying I want to live primitive like that, but look at what they did. What was it that they survived? How was it that they made it through tough times? How did they pull together? Was it just because they had stockpiles of stuff, or because they were really good at shooting? What was it? And honestly, I think the key was, my personal opinion, of course, is that they had each other to stick together. It doesn't mean that they liked each other. It doesn't mean that they, all got along all the time. But they knew that their own personal survival was very dependent upon the people around them, and so they had to take care of each other. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on this channel, but years ago I read this book, this guy that went in and studied Native American tribes when there were still a few left, the real primitive ones that lived kind of the old ways. And he said that in this one tribe that they had no word for like thank you. They didn't say thank you when you did something for them. And the reason is because you were part of the tribe. There was a natural duty and obligation to do good things for other people. So someone shouldn't thank you for that because you did something spectacular or unique. That's just expected. It was expected for you to help your brother and sister out, your neighbor, and it was expected because you were part of that tribe. Those concepts are so far long gone from most modern people. But it used to be kind of common, when you heard that your neighbor had a problem, you just went and helped them. You just took care of them, right? And they took care of you. And I think that that's really a big part what's wrong with our society. I mean, there's other things, spiritual things, biblical, there's other things. But that breakdown of the community, of the village, of the family, and it kind of started with the family, right? That's the smallest form of a society, of a civilization, is a family. It starts there and it works out. And no one cares anymore. And I think it's a big part of what's wrong with our world. Now, I'm trying not to go off on some big soapbox speech here, because I'm trying to wrap it up and get to a point. But I ask myself, what is prepping? And for me personally, I fall back to, well, it's living how humans used to live when they could survive really bad times, and they didn't have any system. There was no support system. There was nothing. What you had was what you had in your hands, and in that community there was no outside sources. And so to me, being prepared and self-sustainable and being able to survive is to have something like that once again, where there's just a group of people that can pull together, and it may be tough, but they'll do it. They'll figure out one way or the other, because they know, and it's important for everyone to survive. It's important for everyone to succeed, because the success of another means that is the success of the whole, and you're benefiting from that. And to me, that's really where preparedness really is. I mean, I understand there's all the tactical stuff. I understand there's all the fear. We got to have this gadget and this geek-all and this, trinket and all that kind of stuff. I get it. There's cool stuff out there. I get prepping is being terrified of the next big nuke and the next this and that, and so we got to build bunkers and go stick our heads in the ground. I'm not knocking any of these things, but these are typically kind of a focuses of preparedness. Where really what preparedness is, in my opinion, in the end, is going back to a small group of people, community of people that can get along and that can survive together, that are determined to survive no matter what. That's really what prepping is. You know, you may not have the most stuff, you may not have a bunker, you may not have all these skills, but if you're part of a community that is determined to survive no matter what, then you're probably at least as prepared as someone that's got all the stuff, and maybe even better. And so really from the beginning of me making these videos and stuff, that's been my big focus, is to encourage people to come together and to build community. I mean, if you truly are a lone wolf, it's possible that you can survive and everything. I mean, like I said, there were books written about the few that did, but you better make sure you know what you're doing and not just an ego. You better make sure, because it's tough in any situation. But building that group of people that, like, once again, that there was a certain level of love and trust and dependence on each other. I know it's not American, is it? It's, you know, we want to be independent, but it is natural, it is human. And honestly, I think that's probably in the end the best way to prepare, because when you do that, you know, you want this other family to survive too, so you're going to help them make sure that they've got enough food out, right? And when you see that they're slipping in some areas, you're going to, you know, in a brotherly love, go to them and say, hey, you know, you're kind of slacking in this area, and that makes you weak, that makes the whole team weak, right? And so, and when you do that and you've built a bond, it's not just a contract on paperwork. Yeah, we're back, we don't get along, we don't like each other, but it's all on paper. No, where it's a family, where you've really built that community, that family that really cares about each other, then what you're doing out of love. You know, you're doing it out of love, and so you want them to succeed and they want you to succeed. And then voila, people can actually survive things. I know this is such a lofty idea. No one likes each other anymore, and everyone, you know, everything's falling apart, and the world is coming to an end. I get it. But we can do this again. It's happening here, and it's happening in many other places. I hear about it. Some of them are public. They make YouTube videos like me. Others, they keep it quiet, and they sometimes send me a message and let me know what they're doing. It is happening. And it's only rare in the sense that there's just only so many people that are willing to put in the effort to do it. And maybe you're one of those. And I encourage you, don't give up. And if it's just not working where you're at, maybe you need to go to a different place. But all in all, it can happen. It's very possible that you can make this happen. It's been a lot of hours and a lot of years here, but we've made it happen here. And you can do it as well also. And then that's the ultimate level of preparedness, really it is. Folks, you need to be getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.